Hello and welcome to This Week in Laker Football. I'm joined by Coach Ron Bellamy of the West Bloomfield Lakers varsity football team, as we are every week on the show. And before we begin, I'd like to thank our friends over at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital, celebrating 10 years and counting of serving our community. Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital is a proud sponsor of This Week in Laker Football. So Coach Bellamy, open up the playoffs with a big win, both on the points board and just across the board from a football standpoint against the Canton Chiefs, a really tough team to play against. It's despite coming in with sub-60 playoff points and despite their record, they played a really tough game and they were really competitive for you. How tough was that adjustment after getting into the game for your team to make to this, particularly their offense that just loved to run the football?
Yeah, it took us about a quarter and a half to kind of get adjusted to everything. We've never played Canton before, so the full house tee can give not only us problems, but everyone else. And we knew we were matched against. The focal point this week was for us to try to keep their offense off the field. And when we had the ball, we wanted to try to score every possession, which we didn't score every possession, but we almost did. And offensively, we made it more challenging for them. They threw the ball a little bit more than they wanted to because they were chasing points.
Yeah, so you're playing this team that is really different than any other high school team that we've seen and maybe that even your guys have ever seen. Running the football, more of a pro-style offense, a lot of variation and misdirection. Does that adjustment and playing a team like Canton help to set the tone for what you may see from other teams going forward in the playoffs?
It's a very unique offense. The full house tee, it's an older offense. Way back in the day.
Oh yeah.
It's one that it's a ball control offense. They want to catch you making mistakes. Defensively, we'll misaligned a few times, missed a couple tackles, and they hit us. They hit us with some big long runs, but in our defense, they held them to 7, and we had 28 in the first half. So to go up by 21 at half was great, and we got the ball to open up the third quarter and scored again, and at that point we felt like we were in control in the defense. We were able to do some things, blitz a little bit, shoot some gaps, just to kind of shut it down, and wanted to force those guys to throw the ball a little bit more, and we were able to sack the quarterback, and from there, as a coach, you felt a little bit more comfortable getting out to a big lead in the second half, but credit to Canton, solid ball club. But I want to, just congratulate our coaches and players for a job well done.
Yeah, it was a great first game out there, and we can't say enough about how great of a game that even Canton played despite the scoreboard. It was not at all evident of the football game that we had out there last Friday. So your team comes out with a big win. The score was a little bit lopsided to the point where it allowed you guys to have your guys down the depth chart get significant playing action in a playoff environment. Is that going to come in? Would that maybe come in handy later on in the playoffs, just to give guys more rest or more opportunities and see what you have down the depth chart?
For us, we moved 10th graders, JV players, up to varsity for the playoffs, and for us, it's more or less development. You want those kids to play. You become a better player when you practice more. You learn from the older guys, and we want to extend their season as much as possible, and allow those guys to continue to practice. And some of those guys can come on varsity and contribute. But all in all, when you play in games like that, you really want to reward the kids for a job well done during the week. And a lot of times, we play in a lot of close ball games, so affords them an opportunity to get in there and showcase their talents as well.
So we saw it a lot against Warren de La Salle. We saw it a lot last week against Canton. We've seen Donovan Edwards line up in either a wildcat formation or just at the quarterback position without CJ on the field. Mm-hmm. What does that alignment, what does that from a schematic standpoint provide to your offense that maybe you didn't have before?
Well, it's a running play. It's no different than CJ handing the ball to Donovan. The difference is the mechanics is there is no handoff. He gets the ball quicker. We get quicker blocks, and he has the ball in his hand. He does damage. He is a former quarterback, so he does have the ability to throw the football. Case in point, the pass he threw, the cruise and the touchdown pass. So maybe we get to that point where he is throwing passes, but for now, it's just another element that we can run in our offense and, limit the hits that our quarterback's taking.
Yeah, and there's so many weapons on this offense that having Donovan line up at quarterback, it allows guys like maybe Dylan Tatum to be in the backfield, and that's another thing for the defense to be focused on because you have Donovan Edwards, who, of course, is always dangerous running the football. You have C.J. Harris out there, and maybe there's a situation where C.J. gets the ball from Donovan, and then on top of that, you still have guys like Jaquan Wiggins and Jay Fouché and Darian Cruzio who are out on the field that everybody's got to be focused on. Does the depth of this offense make, especially as we've seen it emerge in the last few weeks, make your team even more dangerous than it already was?
Yeah, you're just, guys are getting a little bit more comfortable. CJ's opening up to more receiving options, and, we get Anthony May back this week, so, we're really happy about that, and he's coming back from his little nick and bruise that he had, and, that's just going to make us a little bit more powerful offensively. But, you take it one game at a time, one practice at a time, and you try to get the ball to your playmakers and hope they can make some things happen.
All right, well, we'll be back with more with Coach Bellamy in just a little bit. Coming up after the break, I'll be speaking with West Bloomfield linebacker Jason Williams. You're watching and listening to This Week in Laker Football on Civic Center TV, WBTV, and on the radio on 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com. Laker football is live every Friday this fall on Civic Center TV, WBTV, and 89.3 Lakes FM. Tune in before every game kicks off at 7 p.m. for live analysis from Dave Scott and Tyler Kieft, and then another great Laker football matchup. You can listen on Civic Center TV, WBTV, and of course on the radio on 89.3 Lakes FM and on the web on lakesfm.com.
Civic Center TV is your home for everything Greater West Bloomfield. Here you can tune into community programming such as our weekly news magazine show, The Splash, as well as coverage of local events and meetings in Keego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, and West Bloomfield. You can also watch all of your local programming online anytime at civiccentertv.com. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Welcome back to This Week in Laker Football, brought to you in part by our friends over at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital, celebrating 10 years of serving our community. I'm joined now by West Bloomfield linebacker Jason Williams in the green and white, number 5 for West Bloomfield. So, Jason, you're a linebacker. You're in a very stacked linebacking core for this West Bloomfield team. Cornell Wheeler, Jordan Hoskins, other guys like Travis Reese are out there. How tight is this core, just from a chemistry standpoint?
We're very close. We hang out with each other all the time, on and off the field. I say we're like brothers.
Does that help in game situations?
Yeah, I say we can depend on each other a lot. Say he has to make a play, we know he'll make it. Like Cornell, Jordan, Travis, all of us. I say we depend on each other a lot.
So a pretty dominant linebacking core. It's really tough for teams we've seen to run the football against them in particular. If they happen to be able to get past the defensive line and get to you guys, is that something that you focus on, particularly running in the running defense, or is it something more spread out that your focus is on that allows you to be, and your teammates in the linebacking core to be so proficient at reading these offenses?
I say Coach Grice plays a big part in our defensive scheme. And if it gets past the defensive line, which most of the time it doesn't, linebackers, they'll make the play.
So talk a little bit about, we've heard a lot from the players, from Coach Bellamy, even from Eric Pearson, beyond, about the impact that Coach Grice, the defensive coordinator, has on these guys. He's a defensive guru. We've heard he's a great teacher. You guys have a really good relationship with him. So give us a little bit of detail about the impact that Coach Grice has on you guys and your ability to play football at a high level.
I say our preparation that he gives us plays a big part. Every day we watch film. We go through what the offense does. I say we go into the game pretty good. I said, 3 weeks, teams combined 14 points. Yeah, I say he plays a major part in the defense. Yeah. Okay,
so let's go a little bit back. You've been playing on this. How long have you been on the West Bloomfield varsity team?
Just this year.
Just this year? It's your first year? Wow,
Yeah.
He plays such good football. It's tough for me to tell you. This is his first year on the varsity team. So let's go back a little bit. When did you first start playing football?
When I was, 7? 7. I started with the Southfield Ravens, then I moved to the Falcons. And then I went to high school at Cass Tech for the last 3 years, and I came over here this year.
So have you always been a linebacker, or have you played other positions that kind of led you down this path to being a linebacker here at West Bloomfield?
I played running back and linebacker. I mostly love linebacker because of the hitting.
So having played, yeah, that's a common theme. When we talked to Cornell week 1, and that's the first thing he said was, yeah, my favorite thing about linebacking is just being able to be physical. I love hitting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And that's just a perfect answer from any linebacker. So you said that you previously have played running back.
Yeah.
How does that experience help you as a linebacker play better ball?
Knowing what the running back will do, like going outside, knowing he's going to make some moves, being able to make open tackles in space.
Okay, and your team, the defense has been absolutely dominant all season long. You mentioned the very, very small amount of points the teams have been able to score in the last several weeks, including week 1 against a really tough offense, gritty offense from Canton's team. So going forward, what are some of the focuses from you and your teammates to continue that?
Keep doing what we've been doing for the past weeks. Get to the state championship, got to win it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a winner go home situation in these playoffs. So looking forward, any aspirations to play football beyond high school?
Yes, sir. I want to go to college, trying to get my scholarships right now, see where I want to go.
So as you continue to develop as a linebacker, as a football player, as an athlete, who are some of the athletes, particularly at the next level in football, college, pro, even some legends of the game that you look up to?
Number 1, Ray Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, big physical linebacker.
It's what's a hell of a guy to be looking up to, especially if you love to hit players. Ray Lewis, just his entire highlight reel is pretty much him just slamming into other players on the football field. So any other guys that you may look up to and maybe model your game a little bit after?
Bobby Wagner, Lou Kuechly. Yeah.
What do you admire about their games?
Physical, very physical, hitting all the time.
Yeah, physical, tough, gritty defense. That defines this Lakers defensive front, and in particular, their linebacking core with Jason Williams and other guys like Cornell Wheeler and Jordan Hoskins, Travis Reese, and beyond. It keeps getting deeper and deeper week by week. Jason, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, this is Jason Williams, West Bloomfield linebacker. We'll be back shortly with more with Coach Bellamy. You're watching and listening to This Week in Laker Football on Civic Center TV, WBTV, and on the radio on 89.3 Lakes FM, lakesfm.com.
You want it, you got it. Civic Center TV has been bringing you live coverage of your local municipal meetings for years. Now you can catch a replay of those meetings the following day at 1 o'clock and again on Saturdays and Sundays at 9 a.m. If that's not enough, you can also visit civiccentertv.com/meetings to view a whole list of on-demand Township Board meetings and keep up to date on the most recent developments in your local government. Giving you more, it's Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Welcome back to This Week in Laker Football. I'm Tyler Kieft, joined as always by West Bloomfield head coach Ron Bellamy. So, second round, it's the district final this week, at home again against another Kensington Lakes Athletic Association team in Plymouth. Now, last week you played the third place team in that conference, in that division. This week you're playing a team that's also 9-1 overall coming into this week, a really powerful team. So, as we always do, what should we know about Plymouth coming into this Friday?
Yeah, we're pretty familiar with Plymouth. We played them in the first round of the playoffs last year. We knew that they were going to be good, the 2019 season, because they were all juniors last year. We're definitely going to have our hands full. Got some great players led by quarterback Nick Downs, and best athlete. He'd be one of the better athletes on the field Friday night. Mike Mathea, number 1 for those guys. He's a compact guy that's very explosive. Helps those guys out on both sides of the ball. They have a defensive end committed to Northern Illinois that's pretty good. It's a long, athletic defense. The D-line, they range from 6'4" all the way to 6'3", from 6'3" all the way to 6'4". Long guys, veteran secondary, older linebackers. So it's going to be a game where, they watch the film from last year. They're going to, make their adjustments, and we got to come in with a great game plan. Whatever happened last year, that's in the past. We as coaches and players have to refocus and divert our attention to making sure that we get this win on Friday night.
So we've seen a lot in recent weeks. We've seen a little more of a run-heavy offense from your team, with their secondary being as strong as it is, and even their running game being as strong as it is there going to be should we be expecting any sort of more variation from your offensive side of the football?
Yeah, it's one of the things. The Canton game last week was probably the lowest total of passes thrown in the game since in my tenure. We only threw 4 passes, but we didn't have to. And the passes we did throw, we connected on long touchdown passes to kind of put us ahead. But obviously C.J. Harris and our receiving corps, one of the better groups in the state. We do have the ability to play pitch and catch, but we're gonna take what the defense gives us, and we're gonna play smart football. If you can't stop the run, then why throw it? And our kids are very unselfish. They just want to win. They want to win at all costs, and and that's what we're going to do as coaches. We got to give them the opportunity to win ball games, to prolong our season. But when you have Donovan Epers back there, and you got a running quarterback like CJ, a dual threat guy, and Dylan Tatum has emerged, and in the game you saw Mekhi Elam with the long run, and Jaquan Wiggins had some runs. It's you can run the football. You had some different variations of being able to run. We run from 10 different formations, so we definitely want to put a lot of pressure on the defense.
Yeah, and with all those weapons, every single one of them can run the ball. At least the so to speak skilled players can take the football and make their own opportunities. Something else that we've seen more often in the last few weeks has been a lot of hurry-up offense. Is that something that we should expect to see in more excess against a team like Plymouth because of their strong defense?
Yeah, we don't huddle. We're a no-huddle offense, and we have different tempos. There's a tempo that you can slow it down. There's the medium tempo, and then there's a turbo where you speed it up almost like a 2-minute offense. So, for us, it's just to dictate what we want. If we feel like we haven't got a lot of in-game work, you'll probably see us sometimes go to a full receiver set and just work on, maybe a 2-minute drill during the game or something. But we want to change things up, keep defenses on their toes, but most importantly, we're always working on getting better ourselves.
Okay. So we saw last week and the last couple of weeks, the physicality of the games is definitely increasing as the playoffs emerge, and as we get into the playoffs, we've seen some of your linemen, guys like Andre Moss-Pat and Bo Davis, get a little bit banged up. How are they holding up?
They're fine. I'm hopeful that we get both guys back this week. If not, then the next man steps up. That's the mentality, the next man up. One of my biggest things as head coach is the word development. You see that a lot in our program. You'll see, 10th graders getting reps, 9th graders getting reps. If you're out there, the expectation is that you're going to perform at a high level. And such is the case, with Bo and Andre going down last week. We started 10th grade, Evan Bunch, and he held his own. You wouldn't know that he was a 10th grader out there. But we have a lot of trust and confidence in whoever we put out there, and we're not going to lower the bar. That's for certain. You go out there and you're a piece of the puzzle for us defensively or offensively or special teams if you get an opportunity there. And we just want our kids to go out there, most importantly, have fun and do the best of your ability, and good things will happen.
So here with Coach Ron Bellamy on This Week in Laker Football on Civic Center TV, WBTV, and 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com. So on that topic of development, you have guys in the playoffs. We've seen it in the past years. We see it again this year that are coming up from the JV team, maybe even from the freshman team. That adjustment, and I of course, I'm not a football player myself, so I wouldn't know, but just from the outside looking in, it could be a tough situation to jump from JV or from a freshman team into varsity, especially in the playoff time. So how does your program bridge that gap so that these players are coming in well prepared mentally and physically and schematically to play football at a high level in playoff time? Yeah,
most of our players come from our youth organization. So a little brief history on that. So they come from, playing in the West Bloomfield Line organization, which they practice here at our facility. They play their games here. And most of those kids start at 8, 9, 10 years old. So we run the same system, same terminology. Okay. We do coaches clinics, and, we're teaching the coaches. From there, you move to the 9th grade, same terminology, same verbiage. Then you go to JV. So all the plays are the same. And the same to be said about our middle school program, Orchard Lake Middle School and Abbott Middle School. So when you come to the high school, you're ready now. It's condensed. But as you get older, you start to get more on your plate, more plays, more concepts on your plate. And, as a 10th grader moving up to varsity, The JV kids moving up, it doesn't change for them. You hear some of the same basic verbiage, terminologies, but the techniques you use are the same, different things like that. And I think that's why our program has turned into, one of the top teams in the state, is because our kids move up and we don't miss a beat. Now the difference is the game is played at a much faster pace. And that's the hardest thing for the guys, the concept, how fast the game is played. You don't have time to think. You don't have time to look on the sideline, the coach tell you what to do. But that's why we keep those kids up. We want to move them up, and the core group of those junior varsity kids, just so they can understand it, they can see it. So, when we do lose our seniors, when they move on to the next level, those kids go in, they fill those voids. Next junior probably moves up, and then that 10th grader turns to 11th grader, and we just kind of want us to keep this thing going. We just keep reloading.
And so from that standpoint, it's just a matter of them coming up, playing their game, and letting the rest of the circumstances go away.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's football. A lot of these kids have been doing this for the last 5, 6, 7 years. And as coaches, we do put a lot of pressure on our kids. My belief is you make Monday through Thursday tougher than Friday. And, we put a lot of pressure on them to perform at a high level. We put a lot of pressure on them to compete at their highest level. And Friday night comes, you've been competing against better competition Monday through Thursday. And Friday comes, you could just let it all out and have some fun and get after it a little bit.
All right, so there you go, a little bit of insight into what makes this West Bloomfield football program so strong and developed into what it is today. Head coach Ron Bellamy, thank you for joining us.
Always.
And thank you also for joining us on This Week in Laker Football. We'll be back next week with more from the West Bloomfield Lakers football team. And in the meantime, we hope that you come out and join us at West Bloomfield High School this Friday night against Plymouth in the district final. Thank you for watching. We'll be back again next week with more This Week in Laker Football on Civic Center TV, WBTV, and on the radio on 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com.